can't wait to grow up and not have feelings. Oh, nope, we don't grow out of those, babe.
Nope. Actually, they get a little more complicated. Sorry to break it to you, kiddo.
Raising a well-behaved child in this world requires strict discipline and punishment. Today, we will look...
No, we will not.
And welcome to Childproof, an Airwave Media podcast. I'm Tori Phantom.
And I'm Gwenna Lathland. And today we're picking back up right where we left off in the previous episode. Being mad is not always bad.
Because
that's
feelings
such an
aren't
elementary way to say it.
Yeah, but it's true. Sometimes simple is great. But before we do that, let's set the timer. It was so healing for me to be able to tell my kids that it was okay for them to be mad at me.
Yeah. Did you grow up in a place where it was unsafe? I know the answer, but I'm going to pretend like I don't know the answer. Did you grow up in a Did you grow up in a place where it was unsafe to feel mad, not just at your parents, but in general?
It sure was. I still struggle with this where when I feel mad, I feel guilty, I feel ashamed, I feel afraid because my anger, it could mean a lot of things for more than half my life, right? Until I moved out. And I didn't know what the consequences of my having a valid feeling would be.
Yeah.
And so it was hold it in or be afraid because I learned that association. And so I often have to remind myself when I end up in that elevated state where I feel mad, like I'm now having a conversation with myself in my head going, is this a valid reason to be mad? Am I expressing this in a way that's harmful? Like, because number one, as we know, I never want to make my kids feel how I felt, right? Yeah. I never want that to be the case, but also being angry is valid. And it's important that our kids see us experiencing valid emotions and expressing them in a healthy way, because you could be mad without being mean.
Right. Well, and that's one of the things that I think for me, I have always struggled with anger because my mom had all of it in the house. My mom was angry for a lot of reasons, and they didn't make sense to me as a kid. They do make sense to me as an adult, which means that as I look back across my childhood, it is a very confusing. There's this movie called National Treasure, and in National Treasure,
we're going to steal the Declaration of Independence.
In National Treasure, they find these Franklin glasses that have all these little like shifty lenses that you can like stack on each other, and it makes pictures look different. That's what the goggles that I put on to look back through my childhood are. Because on one hand, just my memory, there was a lot of anger, there was a lot of numbing out because I also wasn't allowed to feel emotions. And that has a lot to do with my mom not knowing how to process her own emotions and certainly not knowing how to deal with my big emotions being reflected back at her. So, but then I have to lower the one lens. Oh, my mom has incredible childhood trauma. Oh, and here comes another lens. And she was married to my effing dad. Like,
oof.
Right. Yeah. But in the time, I was still in, like, I learned to go numb when people would ask me, how are you feeling? And my answer was, I don't know. I legitimately did not know how I was feeling. And chances are pretty great. I was not lying or being obtuse. I wasn't feeling anything. I was numb, neutral.
Which is arguably like the worst way to feel. That's,
right.
That's what I
like,
tell my,
I wasn't sad. I wasn't scared. I wasn't.
Yeah, that's the coolest thing about being human is all of the different feelings we get to feel.
Yeah. And so to this day, I end up triggered by big swings of emotion, even if they're happening inside me. Because what do you mean I'm feeling things all of a sudden? No, that's unsafe.
I don't want to feel these things. I'm going to shut it off. No, I'm not. I've healed. I've had therapy. Right. Nope. We're going to keep the feeling on and learn to deal with it. That's the hard part.
But part of where that came from is my mom realizing that she'd flown off the handle, or she'd gone too far, or she was yelling for no reason, or she was yelling at something, but I happened to be in front of her. Like, when she'd realized that, hers was shut down. I mean, just walls. Because that was the way to prevent screaming. That was the way to prevent. And so I learned, oh no, if you're mad, if you're sad, if you're having any negative feeling at too loud a volume, just stop. Just stop doing that. Don't do it. And so I learned walls.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the challenges for people who grew up like us and in these situations, to whatever extreme it was, because we could empathize with each other on that it wasn't safe to feel, but we clearly like got to that point from totally different circumstances.
Very different places.
Yes.
Right.
And I think probably a lot of our listeners have that same experience. And I think that's one of the most challenging parts of parenting from that lens is learning how to deal with your own emotions while teaching your kids to do the same.
Yeah.
That is such a challenge. And sometimes I feel like I've done a better job of teaching my kids than I've done teaching myself, because I have the boatloads of trauma holding me back. Like,
Yeah. But what it means is, especially for me, given I need to let my children see me mad. Now, because I have done the therapies, though not nearly enough, because I have done the interior work, because I have done all of the reading and the writing and the research, I am to a place where I have a slightly better control over. I am mad. I am not mad at you, but I am still mad. And I need a minute to calm down for everyone's safety. 1 minute, sir. Do you understand me? Thank you. That level of communication is exactly what my children need to see.
Yes, I've literally like, this is the thing that I will do if I find myself up like I'm bubbling, I'm going to boil over soon, and it's just I'm overstimulated, I'm stressed about a bunch of stuff, and I have I have 3 children, but sometimes it feels like 17, and it's the mom, and I'm like, I'm going to explode, and none of you are doing anything wrong. So what I'll do is I say, I am having big feelings, and I don't want to make any of them any of your problems. So give me a moment. I am going to go take a minute to calm myself down so that my feelings don't become your problem.
Well, and I don't bother with filtering out the anger or the sadness out of my voice, because that's one of the things my mom did. When my mom realized she was having a really big feel and was a little out of control, she would switch to this incredible monotone voice. And it was her. I've had these discussions with her. She was like, oh no, that weird, because I called it the robot voice, and I hated it. I hated it because I thought I had done that. I blamed myself for what was her technically poor emotional regulation strategy.
Yeah.
It was her regulating her emotions.
Yeah, she was trying her best.
Have the language for that.
Yeah, and the resources weren't the same back
like
then.
I had done something. Like, oh no, she's so mad because she's doing that. I didn't know she was trying to freaking cope with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's the important part too. I mean, because we're these disgusting, gentle parents, like it doesn't work. It's awful.
Entitlements. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, just
these kids are walking all
iPad
over
babies.
us. Yeah. I asked my kid to be an iPad kid the other day. I was like, don't you have an iPad to go be an iPad baby on? Like, we had like the plumber at the house, and she was just like glued to me, and I was like, yeah. Anyway,
my tablet children begged me to go watch PBS Kids. My little girl ran in. She goes, "Mom, I'm having a bad day. Okay, I need Pinkalicious. You want your tablet? Yeah. Okay. Have fun with the Pinkalicious.
Support your local PBS. There's a new Ken Burns documentary coming out about the American Revolution. Anyway, this episode's a mess already.
Available everywhere you find your favorite podcasts. For more information on that, inevitably.
But I think that is one of the things that is kind of important that we do. Is it's not just that we're allowing ourselves to have emotions and that we're mindful about how we're expressing them, right? Because we get mad, we do yell.
Yeah.
But I know, like, personally, it's been a big point for me, a focus of mine because of my own reflections, to never insult, to never disparage or talk down to. Like, stupid is a bad word more than an actual cuss word would be at my house.
Well, and that is something that's the greatest struggle for me, because once I got out of the numbing phase, and I still try to numb myself. Once I got out of the numbing phase, I went to if I make myself the punchline, then your joke is not as funny. And if I can whip you with my words, chances are pretty great I won't have to catch your fist with my face. So I would run my mouth as a safety mechanism, which means it became the first instinctual to be like, I'm just going to spit out whatever I thought first. Whatever name, whatever response. The first thing is typically the most disarming thing, and that is a safety mechanism for me. It's not. It's terrible. And there are times when I'm like, did you think that was a good idea? Crap, that made you feel like crap. Obviously, you didn't think about it because pre-considering actions is not developmentally appropriate for you. No, you didn't think about that at all. You just did it because the thought occurred to you. All right, I'm not going to make you feel dumb for being 7. Sorry.
I might be at a place where I have made it a point to avoid this type of language. But as much as I try to do hey, I need a minute to not make my feelings your problem, there's also been many times where I go to my kids and say, I'm really sorry that I made my feeling your problem.
Yeah.
Because we're not all going to be perfect all the time. We can't be. That's like kind of the whole thing that we talk about here, is that showing our kids how to not be perfect in a way that isn't harmful. Or in a way where we're holding ourselves accountable for it, because we have feelings.
And this is true. We're spending a lot of time on anger, but this is true of grief. This is true of sorrow. This is true of stress. Our goal as parents is to raise functional, competent adults. Functional, competent adults need to know how to function under stress. And there is this incredibly tricky line that I'm not good at. I'm not good at identifying where it is. But how much do I show my child what it is to live an adult life? And how much do I shield them from it? I want them to see me worrying about the bills, but I don't want them to see me stressing about the bills. I need them to know that bills require attention and focus and pre-planning, but I don't want them to think that like the electricity is going to turn off at any point. Because honestly, at this point, if the electricity turns off, it's because mom's ADHD forgot to pay the dang bill.
Literally had my phone turned off last year for that reason. It's not that I couldn't pay it. It's that I forgot to.
6 months ago, I had my water turned off because I forgot to pay the bill.
It's that ADHD text.
Anyway, I don't want them to see me stressing out about it, but I do want them to be aware it's a thing that we consider as adults. I don't want them to feel guilt all the time, but I do need them to feel guilty so I can explain, hey, this is guilty and that serves a purpose. And that right there is its close but distinct cousin, shame.
Oh, shame is the enemy is like a mantra at my house.
Yes.
Shame is the
Guilt
enemy.
serves a purpose. I wrote an entire chapter in Mama Cusses about mom guilt versus
Available
mom shame.
everywhere that you can find your favorite books.
Mom guilt versus mom shame. In the parenting book, I framed it as mom guilt, parent guilt. Guilt for feeling some type of way about a thing that you needed to do or you chose to do in your role as a parent. But the dichotomy is the same no matter what label gets tacked in front of. Guilt serves a purpose and it can weaponize itself against you. Shame is stupid.
So stupid.
It's stupid.
So stupid.
Guilt is that little voice in your head that goes, hey, you've been here before. How'd it go last time? Did you like the outcome of what happened last time you were here? If you didn't like that, maybe do it different. And then depending on how that guilt is formed in your head, it could start getting a little needly. It could start making you try to feel a little shame for how it went last time. But guilt is how we learn better.
Yeah.
You know better, so you do better. You do better because guilt is the reminder of when you didn't know better.
Yeah.
Shame is the one that makes you feel like shit for not knowing better.
And shame is the one. I feel like a good bridge for that explanation too is shame is the same feeling of that cringe moment when you think about that stupid thing you did like 15 years ago and like you're the only one who remembers it, but man, you should feel horrible about that right now.
Yeah.
Oh man, you're awful. That's a totally unique experience. No one ever else has experienced it and it just happened to you. Cringe.
Yeah. That's what shame is. And that's something that we routinely have to discuss with kids, because shame is something that that's one of those feelings that we get to turn around and go, no, absolutely effing not. Anger serves a purpose. Fear serves a purpose. Sadness, sorrow, grief, those serve incredibly important purposes. People who can't access their sadness, their sorrow, and their grief end up very angry people, because weirdly, joy is not the temperance of anger. Sorrow is. But anyway.
Now you say that. I'm like sitting here thinking of it like a color wheel, and I'm like, no, I see it. It's like a complementary there. It's like the complementary color.
Yeah, they're directly across from each other. Anyway. We've made feelings into so many pictures now.
Yeah.
We've got feelings wheel. Anyway, most emotions serve a purpose. A few of them serve absolutely no purpose, and shame is one of them. Self-loathing is one. Anytime you can attach self in front of the bad feeling, doubt is fine. Doubt is skepticism. Doubt may reveal some flaws in our plans. Self-doubt is stupid and tell it to shut up. Should we do this? I don't know if it will work. I can't do this because I'm dumb and won't be able to make it work. That's the difference between doubt and self-doubt.
Yeah. I think that's a tricky thing too, because I'm sure, like me, you have also struggled with the self-doubt. I say that as if I don't know.
Raging imposter syndrome. I'm just, my meat suit is filled out by self-doubt and imposter syndrome. A little bit of self-loathing just for...
I think it took like a year after you were a published author to admit you were an author to yourself. You were like, am I?
Just wrote a little book. It's fine.
It's fine.
Hey, you made some bestseller lists. Yeah, everybody does that. Everybody gets those labels now. It's fine.
Preorder Thinky Thoughts, the next best-selling book that Gwenna will have. Link in the description. But that is a thing that I think can be really tricky to teach our kids as well, is not just like, because it is hard to teach kids from a way of this, don't do this, right? We learned this. A lot of us have learned this. I could just be speaking for me. Honestly, I read a lot of stuff for research purposes. It's like my whole life. But the idea of like, if your kid is standing on a chair, your toddler is standing on a chair, and that's not safe, you don't want to say, don't stand on the chair, because they're not hearing that little nuance of don't. They're hearing stand on the chair. Stand on the chair. So you say bottom on the chair. You say feet on the ground, right? That's the way we do it. So if we say, well, don't feel this way, well, that's not going to work. It's the same thing. And so the challenge becomes, how do we teach our kids that it's normal to have feelings of self-doubt? It's normal to have feelings of shame. You're not bad for experiencing these things. And we need to combat that, because you are capable. You have nothing to be ashamed of. What feelings are connected to the feelings of the self-doubt, of the shame, that are things we can cope with, that are tangible things that we could actually change? Because shame is really hard to fight. But what's going on that's causing the shame? What other feelings are around this that we can do something with?
Guilt is our reminder of what we learned before. Shame is a limiting principle.
It is a limiting factor. I like the way you said that. And the other thing with guilt, though, is that I think it's multifaceted, right? Because there is the guilt of like, okay, this is something we can learn from. But then there is that immediate guilt. I did something wrong and it caused harm in a way that I wasn't expecting or planning for. And I feel really bad and I can't fix it. there's times where
Right.
you just do something, you make a decision, or maybe, you turn too fast and your kid's a duckling and you accidentally elbowed her in the face because she's just at that height.
Yeah.
You're going to feel guilty about that.
That
you
was a
can't-
very specific example. Continue.
It was. It's happened more than once. She's just one step behind me at all times, and she's just right the perfect height. Then she goes, "Mom," and I turn, and then I feel bad. But there are those times where that's, I think, can brew that shame, right? Like,
Mhm.
I did something on accident and I feel guilty, and now I'm beating myself up for it. That's where that shame comes in.
Right. So we can combat shame with two important things. First, what's the worst that could happen? What is the worst outcome of continuing to try? You fail? Well, you've already experienced failure, which is why you're here with the guilt and the shame as companions. Okay. So you already know what comes of that. What's the second worst thing that can happen? Okay. No. If mom, the risk averse parent, is standing here encouraging you to do it, risk of injury is real damn low. Okay. We'll knock
we
that
both
out
said
of the
that
park.
to our
If I'm
children.
encouraging you to do it, chances are pretty low you're going to get hurt. Okay. If dad's encouraging you to do it, maybe stop and ask some better questions. The other thing that we combat shame with is sorry. Apologizing, accepting responsibility, and finding ways to make changes is what keeps guilt at guilt and not slipping down the muddy, mucky slope of shame.
Yeah. That's I had a moment with my kiddo who, because my younger two, they're a year and a half apart, and so they play rough sometimes. Sometimes the littlest one gets hurt because they're a year and a half apart, but there's a big size difference, and kids don't know where they are in space. I don't know where I am in space at any given
My
time.
son
Hence the
has
elbow
that
to the face
freaky-
situation.
My son has that freaky stick boy strength. Like he's a flesh wrapped skeleton and he's so strong. Why is he so strong?
Yeah, no, I get that. But
Like it hurts now, son. You're too big. No. Go roughhouse like that with dad. Ow.
Right. And so my little ones, I don't even know. I don't even think they were roughhousing. I think they were just like running around and playing some game, and my little one got hurt. And then my middle runs to me and is like, "I feel really bad. I didn't mean to." And I'm like, "I believe you didn't mean to. But what do you think could make you feel better? Do you think maybe checking on your sister and apologizing because you didn't mean to do it, maybe that would help? Because it sounds like maybe that's gonna help both of you." Because like I had already checked on her, like she was okay, she slipped, she just slipped, and we have hardwood floors. She hit her knee and just and she's like, "That would make me feel better," and I'm like, "It could, but you would at least be making your sister feel a little better, because that's how you show that you care, that you do feel bad, that you didn't mean to. Because if you don't apologize, well then that's how people feel like you don't care that you hurt them, whether you meant to or not. People who meant to hurt someone, they don't feel bad about it."
Yeah, that's something that we say a lot in the house is I say it about parents, but it's generally about people. Bad people never stop to wonder if they're doing a bad job. Good people never stop worrying they're doing a bad one. If you are pausing and considering, oh, I have hurt someone's feelings. Oh no, what do I do? The answer is probably apologize. Probably. Not in every circumstance, but if you have gone so far as to be like, oh, I feel really bad. But even then, there's a tricky line, because sometimes you start feeling bad about things that aren't your fault. And that's an entirely other thing that we have to explain to our kids. I am the worst at that. I will internalize every problem as wholly my fault.
I will take responsibility for so many things I didn't do.
The field fires, the grass fires, 20 miles that way that have nothing to do with me. Somehow my fault. I'm
Somehow,
sure
yeah.
I didn't clear the leaf off the little like condenser, and I'm sure that's somehow related to the furnace, which is actually in my attic, and it sparked, and it must have like blown all the way 20 miles that way. And I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's a big one in our house is I will call my kids out for apologizing for things they don't need to be sorry for, because there is of course that sympathetic I'm sorry, like that's a different I'm sorry, like that's an I'm sorry that doesn't mean that you did anything wrong. That's like I'm sorry that happened to you.
I'm sorry you feel that.
Yeah, but then it's like I'm sorry, what are you sorry for? There's nothing to be sorry for? Shocking. Don't apologize to me. That's one night my kid got sick in a yucky way. And I got woken up at 3:00 in the morning to deal with that because it was in the hallway. And my kid's like, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm like, are you apologizing for being sick? No. Like, we don't do
I
this.
had an experience with my mom. She tried to over apologize to me. She had fallen. She's hurt her hip, and now she's having hip replacement in a little while from now. And she called me to tell me when that was. And I was like, okay, yes, everything works out for the schedule. I don't have to move anything. And then they called and like, hey, we have to move it to this day. And so my mom called me and told me, and I was like, okay, that did conflict with a thing, but it was much easier for me to move my conflict than it was for her to move her entire hip replacement surgery.
Right.
So I will move the thing. And so I moved the thing, and she's like, I'm so sorry. Mom, why are you apologizing? Well, you seem frustrated. Two things can be true, Mom. I am frustrated that I had to move that thing because it's been on the books for months. I am frustrated that you are at a place where you have to have your hip replaced. But that's not your fault, Mom.
Yeah.
There's nothing to apologize. You're in your late 60s. This kind of happens. And that sucks. But I'm frustrated at the timing. So were you.
Right.
You mean to tell me you're just looking forward to a hip replacement, Mom?
I am
Two
frustrated,
things can be true.
but not at you.
Not at you.
Yeah.
And then I had to turn around and have almost that exact same conversation with my son, who brought home a recurring thing. I was like, I'm sorry. What are you sorry for? You're mad. Well, yeah, but not at you.
Yeah. That one. I am mad. I'm not mad at you. Well, what are you mad about? It is a grown-up thing that I will talk to my grown-up friends about, because you are not responsible for this feeling. But please know it is not at you, because sometimes you can't tell your kid what you're mad about, and it's important that you do. And sometimes you risk that other line that's hard to find, where it's like, no, you don't support me through this one. We are not peers. I am here for your feelings. You're not going to support me through mine right now. That's
and there are other things that are like, specifically, my son handed me the folder. I pulled out the little note. I went, and he was like, what did I do? You didn't do anything. Well, I handed you the thing that made you mad. Yeah, but I can't directly describe to him what it is that's made me mad, because what made me mad was notification of my son's accelerated reader program. I cannot stand the accelerated reader program. It is a problematic program. Okay. Also, I'm not going to rant. I am not going to fall into a rant, because I have an entire other podcast called Bibliophage,
available
on which
everywhere.
We go on several tirades about how much we despise AR, while also giving you books that correlate to the books that the grown-ups are reading. So if you're reading a witchy book, here's some witchy books and their AR points, because we can hate the program and still have to participate in the program.
What is AR?
Accelerated reader. So what accelerated reader is they have made up a point system, and you read these books, and then you take this 5 to 10 question comprehension test. And they're all the way across.
Okay. This is going to tie directly into what we're actually talking about on this episode. So finish describing it, and then I have a story about some mom shame and guilt I had.
So, accelerated reader, they rank the books according to reading level. A lot of the schools will have you can only read your reading level or the grade level that you're in. There's a whole bunch of rules the tests don't really cover much in the way of comprehension. They're either way too deep or way too shallow. It becomes compulsory reading instead of reading for edification or joy. It's a messed up program that has been going on since I was a child. I had accelerated reader. I am in my 40s. Okay. This is dumb and it needs to stop. I said I wasn't going to rant and I ranted anyway, but I can't tell my son that.
Anger expressed in a good way.
I can't tell my son that because he still has to work within the structures wherein I already know that the compulsory reading, the reading books he's not interested in, the reading books that don't bring him the things that he wants out of a book is going to be a problem. So I cannot start on the front foot of demonizing this program.
Yeah.
That's just going to make it harder for him to have to participate in it. I can fight the good fight on the back end, but that is not his fight right now.
Yes.
So two things can be true. I am frustrated, not at you. No, I can't tell you why.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so it turns out I did know what accelerated reader was. Also, I totally wanted you to rant. I wanted to hear the rant. So I'm not going to apologize for that. I don't have any guilt.
You should definitely check out Bibliophage because we rant about it a lot. So if you also hate accelerated reader but have to participate in it, there's a whole other podcast for you. Okay, go.
So my kids' current school, they don't do accelerated reader to my knowledge, but a school system that my eldest went to in like the first or second grade did use this program.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I didn't grow up with this. I think Jim did, but I went to a pre-K through 12 school. There was a lot of stuff we just didn't do or have. I went to a very small school. And
like sports?
Yeah.
Or mental health counseling?
We had golf. Anyway. So my kiddo did this accelerated reading program. But my kiddo has always been like in that like advanced reading stuff, just because that's just a natural thing. My kid was an early reader. There's a word for it we've talked about.
Hyperlexic.
Thank you. So my kid's been hyperlexic, has always like done really well in ELA and reading. And so we start doing this accelerated reading thing and my kid is doing great. Like bam, 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 like is enjoying it. Cause my kid, much like you, is a bibliophage and can just eat through those books. Okay. Yes. And so then my kid gets to this one book. Now, I still have my copy from childhood because I loved this book so much. And it is Black Beauty. And it is the illustrated classics, right? And so I give this book to my kid thinking my kid will like it. My kid reads the book. My kid fails the test. And I'm like, well, you read that pretty fast. Like maybe did you like skip some pages? Because you read that like a crazy amount of time, right? And my kid's like, no, I read the whole thing. And I'm like, I believe you because this kid reads so fast. Yeah. And I'm like,
I believe you. What happens in the story?
Yeah. But my kid's like, no, I did. And so I'm like, well, maybe read it again. Maybe you just like missed a page or something. Like because you don't usually fail these. So my kid reads the book again, fails the test again. And I'm like, and there was like standards that they have to get so many tests. And I'm like, what is going on? Right. And so at this point, I feel like my kid must be lying to me about reading this book, or maybe, I'm like, we could pick a different book. My kid's like, I read the book. And I'm like, okay, like, I don't know. So I was like conflicted here. And so then I find on my shelf this other copy of Black Beauty that I have. And I was like, I don't know, like maybe it's somehow different. And so I hand my kid this book and they read it and they said, it is different. And they got a perfect score on the test. Apparently, the illustrated classics versions cut parts out. And so I was sitting there because of accelerated reader, basically accusing my kid of lying to me. And they had a right to be mad at me for it. And I still feel bad about that.
Now we know the exact moment that Tori fully understood what abridged versions meant.
I didn't even see that on the book. Like I just saw it on my shelf and I was like, here you go. I didn't take any. I knew what an abridged version was. I didn't know the illustrated classics were. I was like 24 at the time.
So there are times that we can show them this is how to feel. And no, I'm not actually going to do anything about my frustration. I am just going to sit on it because there's no action to take. Mm-hmm. That is something that comes with time and practice. It's not bottling up the emotion. It's just sometimes the best you can do, my being frustrated with AR will not change anything. So I acknowledge I am frustrated. I accept this is a frustrating thing, and I adapt, because that's all I've got to do. I can fight the good fight. I can continue to tell the school board and the teachers, most of them know, but I can continue to tell the people, hey, this is a defunct program, and here's why it's wrong, and here's why it's not helpful, and here's why it's actually harming more than it's hurting. And I know you can point to those stats. I can do that on the back end. But my frustration can only go that far, because I still have to support my kid reading these books and taking these tests.
That other part is that you can commiserate with your peers who understand and can feel that with you. And that's an important
So I made a whole
piece
podcast so I can bitch about it.
But that's a thing that I think is also helpful in helping our kids handle their anger at like an injustice or like something they're just like, this just makes me mad and there's nothing I can do about it, because that is a good way to get stuck in a bad feeling, is when you feel helpless to change it, when something is totally out of your control and you just have to know that it sucks. And I think one of the best ways to combat that is commiseration, is empathy, is having your feelings acknowledged and validated. Like when a kid comes home and they're upset because their whole class was acting up, but they weren't, and they still got roped into that class discipline where they had to like go to recess 5 minutes later, something to that extent, which I also disagree with. Don't take away kids' recess. But I'm not going to sit there and be like, this is like, here's all these research studies about why it's bad to take away recess. No, I'm going to say, yeah, that sucks. That's really unfair. That you had to suffer the consequences of someone else's actions. Like, it really stinks when that happens. That's like a big bummer. And when they feel seen, it's like you could see them like visibly just kind of relax a little. It doesn't make it go away, but it's like oh, okay, like I'm not alone in feeling like this is unjust. Yeah.
My daughter the other day, we've been sort of having a little bit of a cycle right now, and we're not sure why, but right now her emotional reactions are back to a little out of scale. I think this is just a cycle of figuring out feelings, and the older she gets, the more complex those feelings get. When we start introducing emotional language to our 0-year-olds, our 1-year-olds, our 2-year-olds, we spend a lot of time with these smaller, chunky words, mad, sad, glad. And then we get to, are you mad or are you upset?
Or
like
frustrated,
we begin introducing,
or disappointed, or like there's so many.
So at 7, now we've got a pretty good range of all of these things. Are you annoyed or are you disappointed? And we can sort of parse through. And a lot of times, even just going through the words for how we're feeling is a regulation tool. Because it's forcing them to slow down, to come out of that feeling and begin to look at it from the outside. And that helps us calm down. It doesn't make us less frustrated. It just makes us not consumed by the frustration, right? So we're doing this, but we're finding that she is scaling up way past reasonable, and she hadn't been doing that. So like she gets mad, and a level 5 mad is appropriate for what happened, but she shoots up to a level 11, and then we have to do all the legwork to bring her back down to the appropriate level 5. I'm not leveling emotions for my kids. That's just for the podcast. I know I name crap weird, but I don't do that. We're not that
You just
granular.
like get out the whiteboard and you're like drawing. Do you see, child? You're here at an 11. Okay. What's acceptable is a 5.
We need to dial this down.
Yeah. We'll postmortem it later.
But she's really upset. She goes, I can't wait to grow up. I was like, oh, yeah, you'll still have hair that you have to brush when you grow up, kid. I mean, technically you can shave it off if you want, but you'll still have to care for your hair by routinely shaving it off.
Yeah.
Like, that's fine. And she goes, I know. I can't wait to grow up and not have feelings. Oh, nope. We don't grow out of those, babe.
Nope. Actually, they get a little more complicated. Sorry to break it to you, kiddo. Yeah.
So then we had to have this. Oh, no. She really, really thought, because she knew we'd been working on, hey, this is an over the top reaction. We need to pull it back down. It's fine to be mad, but is this a big mad or is this a little mad matter? Right. This is a little, you dropped your true fruit on the floor and the dog got it. Okay. That is not
I
the
think
dog
that's a big thing.
spontaneously combusted in front of you and you witnessed its gory death.
I feel
that's
like
the dog got your strawberry.
I might be at an 11 over a true fruit. Personally. Stuff's
Also,
so
don't
good.
let the dogs get the true fruit because chocolate's bad for the dogs. But anyway, you've got a big mad on a little mad thing. She really thought that sort of swing in emotions was a kid thing because we routinely go, yeah, it is hard being 7. This is hard to figure out, but you can figure it out.
Mhm.
I'm right here if you need help. So she got super used to us. It's hard being 7. It's hard being 6. It's hard being 5.
Yeah.
And she thought, oh, well, then I'll grow out of this part. Oh.
The way kids understand
No,
things.
those actually stay. And yeah, Tori's right. Those just get more complicated.
It's going to get a lot more complicated. There's so many feelings you haven't experienced yet, child.
Like we haven't even really discussed feeling more than 2 things at once, especially when some of them are. Have you ever felt sorrow and relief at the same time? That's really weird.
Yeah. Yeah. And then shame tries to jump in those situations.
Right. Because how dare you feel relieved at this thing that brings you sorrow?
Right. Yeah. Feelings are so complicated.
No, honey, it doesn't get better. So yeah, we sort of had to have that discussion, which was an even more complicated discussion because she was still really pissed off.
I'm telling you though, okay? You got to get the ice pack. You got to get the feelings ice pack because we have entered a part of our lives where, especially my super sensitive kiddo, when she feels herself at an 11, when she doesn't feel like she's like, I should be at a 5. This is out of control for me. She asked for her penguin pack because we have this ice pack that looks like a penguin. And so you put that on your chest or your neck and it stimulates the vagal nerve. And it will immediately calm your body down. It does not calm your feelings down, the thoughts, any of that, but your body will have an autonomic response. And it just calms you enough that you can try to sort through it. It takes the edge off. And now when I first did it, my kid was really mad that it worked. And now she asks for her penguin pack when she needs it. So it's a cool thing.
My son has always responded really well to deep pressure. And so now we're working on a new thing, and I'm actually not sure how to handle this specifically. I'm just going to put it out there and be like, I don't know what to do. My son has always preferred deep pressure. And so now when he's feeling really frustrated, when he's feeling a big feel, he now runs to me and demands that I wrap him up. And I don't have a problem doing that, except he doesn't always tell me this is what is happening. Sometimes he gets frustrated on his own with his Legos or something, and he feels I'm like, okay, I don't mind co-regulating with you, but we are also going to have to figure out a self-regulation for this one. Mommy was draining the hamburger grease, buddy. This was almost bad for all of us.
It's like,
okay,
that's when we go into dealing with feelings and situational awareness.
Yeah. But then also he runs full force into me. And again, why is he so strong? Why? He's like a stick with eyeballs. Why? Where are the muscles? Why do you hurt?
He's so tall.
But that's one of the things that we're going to have to work through, because when you are elevated, your general awareness of everything just bottoms out. You're not situationally aware when you're over the top frustrated. And I'm not saying, I need to clarify, this is not happening several times a day. It's not even happening daily. It's just sometimes when he feels the need for a big mom hug, I'm happy to give you a mom hug, bud. But also not right this second. Like, you got to give me a sec.
Well, and I think that's the other part, because no matter what we talk about, there is the other side of it where we don't want to swing too far, because when we talk about situational awareness, that could come with its own problem where you're trying to predict how someone else is going to feel or what that could be. Like one of my kiddos, as a coping mechanism, as a regulation mechanism, she has a vocal stim, and it's a repetitive sound, and sometimes it's louder. But I know I have heard this for years, and sometimes I hear it, and like I hear this, if this kid starts a repetitive sound, I'm like, she's coping with something. Cool. But then the one day she says to me, sometimes I get afraid that you're all going to be really mad at me because I make the noise, and I'm just afraid that that you're going to be mad that and I'm like, you can't predict how I feel. You could ask me how I feel about it, but
Mhm.
if I ever need a break from the sound, I know that's helping you. So I just go to a different room, or I have
Yeah.
AirPods. You're doing something
Yeah.
that's helping you, and I'm proud of you for that. But you can't try to predict how I feel, but I do appreciate that you brought it up to me.
So this is one of the unique things that I have compared to you, in that I was not always a gentle or responsive parent, which means this is a constant dynamic between my eldest and I, because she remembers when I would fly off the handle. She remembers when I was not regulated. She remembers when I didn't even know what regulation was, much less how to regulate myself or recognize when I was wildly out of sync with my feelings, with my body, with my nervous system. I was always in panic mode and I didn't know that. She remembers that very volatile time. And it started getting better when she was about 8, but she still routinely, this year it's really diminished, but she would hesitate to be like, I don't want to ask my mom because she's just going to say no. She's going to be hyper controlling and say no. And so I was like, hey, well, why didn't you sign up for Powerpuff? Oh, I thought you'd say no. Oh, well, you didn't do me the service, courtesy, respect, or honor of being able to make that decision for myself. You sort of made it for me.
That one's tricky. Yeah.
Yeah. I see how you got there. I know that this hang up is on my head. I know that. But
I take
unfortunately,
responsibility for that.
Yeah, but I'm not the one who can change it. You have to change it and allow me to prove to you that I am a different person as when you were 8. You're 18 now. And again, this last year, like the jump from 17 to 18, a ton better. She really is starting to trust that no, I will make decisions in a considerate way, because things that were happening when you were 6, it's not happening anymore.
Yeah. and that is so difficult too, because that's, I think, those moments where you realize I broke my kids' trust and I have to earn it back. But it's hard to earn it back because if they're not trusted you in that thing, well, it's hard to earn it back in that space, which makes sense. But that's where shame comes in. Is like, look what you did. Do you look what you did?
Look how bad you messed that up.
No,
it's taken a long time.
Yeah.
It's taken a long time for me to be like, yeah, no, I messed that up. Mm-hmm.
Right.
The reason you're acting like this is because of me, but we can work on this together, because it doesn't do either of us any good for me to continue to beat myself up for how terrible a mom I was, because I wasn't a terrible mom. I was a mom in a terrible position who lacked coping skills. And the moment I figured out that I lacked coping skills, I was like, oh, crap. I gotta fix this.
Like, might I have made some terrible choices? Yes, I am a human, and I was not who I am now. And I'm glad I could grow, and I want to gain your trust back. But I do always feel
I knew better, so I could do better. Yeah. I can be patient with you while you relearn that I am doing better. And every once in a while, have to remind yourself that it's not in the same place. I am not in the same place. Right. You are not in the same place.
That's an important part too, is number one, not doing the denial thing of like, it wasn't that bad, because like, that's something I've heard in my life. And I'm like, okay, you can't determine that for me. And so that moment of like, yes, I do need to gain your trust back, and I understand, but I'm still here and trying better. But I always feel,
well, there are absolutely times when she was like, oh, well, this and this and this happened. Is that how you remember it? Yeah. Here's how I remember it. So where is the truth is probably somewhere in between our two memories.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think part of it too is that memory of how it made someone feel, because sometimes the semantics aren't the important part. And I tell my kids that a lot too, is I'm like, this is a dumb argument, guys. Like, how does either of you winning this argument change anything? All it's going to do is make you both feel bad. And there's going to be conflict. Do we need to have conflict over what color the dog was? I don't think we do. It changes nothing. But I do always feel it's important to note, because yes, I have always practiced this intentional, this responsive, this gentle parenting. However, I became a parent as a teenager, so I was not who I am now. And it took a lot of work. I look back at some of this and I was like, I know I was trying, and oh yeah, it's good I did all that therapy.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's our timer. And so the therapy often seems to summon that timer from the ether.
Honestly.
I swear. Either discussion of it or the extreme need for it.
Or maybe both. But thank you so much for listening to Childproof, Airwave Media podcast.
Be sure to like, subscribe, share, comment, push buttons, click dots, ring bells, leave reviews. All of that helps the podcast grow and expand.
And Gwenna's newest book, Thinky Thoughts, hits shelves in April, and the link to get your copy is in the show notes, or you can find it everywhere you find your favorite books, ebooks, and audiobooks.
Check out all the rest of our sibling podcasts on the Airwave Media Network. It's not just Tori and I talking books, kids, and hamsters. There's also other folks talking books, kids, and less hamsters than you'd think.
Yeah,
the hamsters
probably not as
are
many
pretty
hamsters.
specific to us.
Yeah.
Also geese.
Yeah. And we do want to hear from you. Email us at childproofmail@gmail.com with suggestions, questions, and your best and brightest holiday memories or funniest wintertime stories for our next email roundup. Also, you could send us pictures of hamsters and geese.
Also, remember, sometimes our kids are assholes.
And sometimes it's us, but at least we
Always
apologize.
shame.
Yeah, shame is the
Always
worst.
shame.